Hello, my name is Lewis and welcome to day 26 of Decktober. Today we're looking at a $50 budget Vadrik Astral Archmage deck tech. Vadrik says instant and sorcery spells you cast cost X less, where X is Vadric's power. And whenever it changes between day and night, put a +1/+1 counter on Vadrik. This deck is all about playing tons of spells to constantly change between day and night. Beef up Vadrik so those spells cost even cheaper and eventually overwhelm the board with millions of mana for the victory. Now, let's get right into the budget deck tech. As always, we're starting off this budget brew hot with the ramp. First on up is Ironmere to tap for a mountain and Silvermere to tap for an island. We've got Runaway Steamkin that adds a steam counter whenever you cast a red spell. You can remove 3 steam counters to get 3 of that mountain mana. And Solemn Simulacrum, the ETB's fetching out a basic land tapped, and when it dies, you draw a card. There's Trusty Mana Rocks in Arcane Signet to tap for either of those Izzet colours, and Izzet Signet to pay and tap to add red-blue. We've got Rite of Flame to add 2 mountain, and Desperate Ritual to add 3 mana to your mana pool. There's also High Tide, that says until end of turn, add an island whenever an island is tapped for mana, and Seething Song to add 5 mountain. If we've managed to switch up that day and night and get some counters on Vadrik, then some of those cards could be played for really cheap. There is new card the Celestus to add a mana of any colour, but more importantly give us that option to be able to change between day and night to help boost Vadrik even more. Also gaining you some life and drawing a card when you do. And finally, we have Sol Ring, because Sol Ring. Before we get onto our big buyback strategy, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for all things MTG. It's completely free to do, and it helps our channel grow and grow as we head towards 2,000 subscribers. Now we're talking about one of the big strategies in this deck tech, and that is the buyback mechanic. First off though, we have to mention our 2 big mana generators in Stormkiln Artist that create you a treasure token whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, and Bergi, God of Storytelling, to get us a red mana whenever we cast a spell. By having all of these mana generators, the plan is eventually to have an engine going where we'll be generating enough mana with those 2 cards, and Vadrik with his +1/+1 counters, that these buyback costs will be free and will be causing too much chaos for our opponents to handle. There's Mystic Speculation to scry 3 and Seething Anger to give target creature +3/+0 until end of turn. We've got Capsize to return target permanent to its owner's hand. Maybe you want to clear out your opponent's lands, and Mind Games to tap target artifact, creature or land. If Vadrik's already got 3 or 4 counters on it, and you're gaining treasure or mana from Bergi or Stormkiln Artist, then you'll be mana positive, and from the buyback spells coming straight to your hand, you'll be able to play them again and again until you're in complete control of the board. There's Fanning the Flames to deal X damage to target creature or player, and Searing Touch to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. We have Haze of Rage to give creatures you control +1/+0 until end of turn, with that all-important Storm mechanic, and Whispers of the Muse to draw a card. Finally, there's Spell Burst to counter target spell with mana value X. We've looked at the buyback, now let's look at every other instant and sorcery in this deck. First is Apex of Power to exile the top 7 cards of your library, being able to play these until end of turn, and if you cast a spell from your hand, you add 10 mana of any colour. And Epic Experiment to exile the top X cards of your library, casting any with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana costs, then putting any unused into your graveyard. We have Budget Breaker Chandra's Ignition to have target creature deal damage equal to its power to each other creature and opponent, a potential win con there if Vadrik is already massively boosted. And Curse of the Swine to exile X target creatures, with each exiled creature's controller creating a 2/2 ball for some nice compensation. Remember, Vadrik is cheapening the cost of these instants and sorceries, so some of these big endgame cards could end up costing next to nothing. We have Scour from Existence, a potentially free instant to exile target permanent, and Mystic Retrieval to return target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, with that added flashback option. There are some blue classics in Op to scry 1 then draw a card, and Brainstorm to draw 3 and putting 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. We've got Preordained to scry 2 then draw a card, and Treasure Cruise to draw 3 cards that you can also delve. There is Aetherize to return all attacking creatures to their owner's hands, and Aether Sprouts that says for each attacking creature, its owner puts it at the top or bottom of their library. We've got Grape Shot to deal 1 damage to target creature or player, again with that Deadly Storm mechanic, and Jaya's Immolating Inferno to deal X damage to each of up to 3 targets. There's Comet Storm to choose any target, choosing another target for each time the spell was kicked. Comet Storm deals X damage to each of them. and Reckless Charge to give target creature +3/+0 and haste, again with that lovely flashback option. There is Invigorated Rampage to give a creature +4/+0 and trample, or 2 creatures +2/+0 and trample, and Lunar Frenzy to give target creature +X/+0 first strike and trample until end of turn. We've got Unleash Fury to double target creature's power until end of turn, and moving on to the counterspells, we are starting with Counterspell. We have Negate to counter target non-creature spell, and Rewind to counter target spell and tapping up to 4 target lands. With having an abundance of instants, it really helps if we need to play spells on our opponent's turn to make sure day and night keep changing as and when we need it to. There's Mind Spring to draw X cards, and Drown in Dreams to make target player draw X cards and or mill X cards. Finally, we have Unexpected Windfall to discard a card, drawing 2 cards and creating a treasure token, and Pass in Flames to give each instant and sorcery in your graveyard flashback until end of your turn, also with that fantastic flashback option. Before we finish up with all of those lands, we're looking at the best of the rest in this budget brew. First on up is Murmuring Mystic to create a 1/1 flying illusion token whenever you cast an instant or sorcery card, and Talrand Sky Summoner to create a 2/2 flying drake token whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. There's classic red Young Pyromancer to make a 1/1 elemental token when you cast those instants and sorceries, and Metallurgic Summonings. This is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create an XX construct token where X is that spell's mana value, with the added option to return all instants and sorceries to your hand by sacking Metallurgic Summonings. We want all of these token creating options, as we'll be casting endless cheap instants and sorcery spells, so we may as well have an army that will slowly start growing from this. There's Electrostatic Field to deal 1 damage to each opponent when casting those instant and sorcery spells, and Gutter Snipe to deal 2 damage to each opponent every time you cast an instant or sorcery spell. We've got Goblin Electromancer to further cheapen the casting cost of those spells by 1, and Clout of the Dominus to enchant creature, giving creature +1/+1 and Shroud if blue, and +1/+1 and haste if the creature is red. We've got Archmage Emeritus to draw a card whenever you cast or copy target instant or sorcery card, and Thermo Alchemist to tap and ping each opponent for 1, untapping the Alchemist whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. We've got Ralstorm Conduit to scry, copy target instant or sorcery, and ping for 1 when those spells are cast. And finally, there's Flux Channeler. This is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Proliferate. And last but not least, as always, we're finishing up with the lands, of which in this deck we have 15 basic island and 15 basic mountain. There are Commander Classics in Command Tower and Exotic Orchard to help fix our mana, and more staples in Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse to tap, sack, and get some basic lands onto the field tapped. For the final 2 we have Mystic Sanctuary to give us some instant and sorcery recursion, and Temple of Epiphany to enter tapped but give us that nice scrying option. Vadrik is a really cool new commander option from Innistrad Midnight Hunt, and one that really does have the potential to be a menacing presence on the battlefield. Make sure to check into Decktober Day 27 tomorrow, where we'll be looking at a very popular commander option. Now who could that be? There we have it, that is the $50 budget Vadric deck tech. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for all things MTG. Check out our link tree in the description below for all of our social media and affiliate links. For now though, I'm all tapped out, so I'll see you in the next video.